Welcome to the Unhinged History, the podcast where each week I am compulsively going through the random articles on Wikipedia, just curious as all get out if it's going to serve up something I've never heard before. And I then every week team up with my co-host Angie, and we pretend that the other one hasn't been doing the exact same random Wikipedia search.
And then we follow that up with the hopeful note that neither of us info dumped all over our husbands and they know the story better than we do now.
I don't ever make that pretension. I know right now that while Hubs is laying in bed, you could walk in there and be like, "So, what is she going to tell me? She's going to tell you about this." And then this happened. And, honestly, I zoned out about blank, but I mean, at least she made a movie reference.
I got that. I was there for the Star Wars reference. So early I have to call. I think this literally made my whole day. This morning I texted and said, we're meeting at 9, right? And she said, "Excuse me while I go yeet myself to the TV and watch Outlander for an hour."
Well, because we historically go before 9, right? Like I say historic, I was gonna say we historically talk at 8. And I was like, no, sometimes we do at 7. And I don't know if we've ever done as late as 9, unless we go right up into the afternoon and do sometime in 3.
Yeah.
So I was gonna try to say we have a schedule, and I was like, no, we really don't. We're all over the place, but it so far hasn't been 9.
It just made me laugh because you were like, "Okay, cool, I'm gonna go watch Outlander, then bye." And I was like, Ian, she yeeted herself out of our conversation.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but they didn't release the entire season. I have to wait until they dribble it out one episode at a time.
These are things, and I hate them. Here's the thing. You all gave us binge watching.
Yes.
And then you have the audacity to try to take it away?
This isn't 1998. I don't need to be present at my TV at 4 o'clock on a Thursday.
Exactly. Dude. The amount of shows that we've been like, oh, we can watch the whole series in one day. Nope.
Yeah, look, I was getting ready to call in dead. I was getting ready to binge watch the entire season and then just bask in the warmth of knowing I completed something.
Even if that completed something meant I laid on my couch for 8 hours straight.
I needed my own gold star, and I will not allow you to smack down the reasons I've given myself that gold star, but I just need that star, damn it.
Also, for the sake of all the other moms that might be moms that might be listening to this, how are you capable of watching TV during the day with children?
You give them NyQuil and send them to bed, because if you're trying to watch a show like Outlander, it is not always child appropriate.
Right.
I mean, Kiddo and I did watch Game of Thrones together, albeit the abridged version, because there was a lot of fast forwarding.
The abridged version. So it was like a half a stab, maybe a monologue, and then fast forward.
And then credits.
Perfect. She loves Jon Snow. That's all that matters.
She loves Jon Snow, and the dragons were great.
Perfect.
So, I mean, maybe her takeaways are a bit different. Maybe Lady Marmot had a more prominent role than what everybody else considers. But I don't think that that's a bad way to watch Game of Thrones.
No, not at all. I mean, my kids who have never watched a single episode could probably tell you the Night's Watch vows because they've heard them so much in our house that they're like, oh yeah, that's from Game of Thrones. They know the song, but they've never, because I didn't think about watching the abridged version with them.
I mean, she would just, because I go to bed early, so I wake up early, right? And so she would stumble into the room, and I was like, I don't want to turn this off yet. And she's like, okay, so where are we in the show? And I'm like, okay, well, here's what you missed. I would do the episode recap for her.
The cliff notes.
Yeah. And then she'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, oh, I got to fast forward past this part. Close your eyes. There's kissing. She goes, oh, okay.
Okay. So, when I posed this question to my husband, I was like, she is capable of watching TV during the day with an actual child in her house. I cannot watch anything unless I'm cooking dinner, where they stay out of the same room. And he said she probably has more than one TV, or she says child, go play elsewhere. And the child listens. And I said, well, that doesn't work in my house. My children are like, hey, what are you watching? Let's talk about it.
I mean, I only have one TV, but kiddo is rather enamored with YouTube Kids on her iPad.
For the win.
Yeah. And so it's like, hey, you could go engage in your own screen time. Yeah, your shows are lame anyhow, Mom. I'm tired of watching World War II documentaries.
Goodbye. So we watch a lot of Discovery Plus, and they love, well, I love like the mysteries of the abandoned and the what on earth, like the, what we find from the satellites and figure out what there. I love those shows, and they will sit. That's what I watch when I make dinner, and they will sit and watch the entire episode and like postulate theories and cut. And I'm like, okay, you know what? If you're engaging in the same stuff with me, I am here for it.
Right.
Inevitably, Owen will come in eventually and be like, hey, Mom, if dinner's going to take a long time, can we just put on Avatar? Then I'm like, also, yes. It's at that time of the year. It's time to watch The Last Airbender again.
Right. Right.
And when I say that, I mean the series, not the movie. Because we have standards.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. I mean, honestly, I wasn't a big fan of Avatar 1. The second one was, I mean, maybe better, but I mean, like, I think there was less hype around the second one, so I was okay with it.
Yeah, I'm referring to Avatar: The Last Airbender as in the cartoon series versus the
James
live
Cameron, Fern Gully remake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the live action Avatar where Prince Zuko didn't look like Prince Zuko and Aang looked ridiculous.
I still haven't seen the live action, so
it's not worth your time. It's super not worth your time. Anyway,
yeah, but that's not why we're here
today.
I don't know. I mean, like, my story isn't a complete bummer. You're not going to want to go write any members of authority after the end of mine.
Oh, I love that for me.
Right? Nobody eats a puppy.
Yes. Theresa's not going to appall me with gross stories and then have snack.
I'm not going to apologize at any point during my story.
Then are you okay? Do you need a hug?
I mean, I might need to schedule that appointment to get my medication refilled, but that's been needing to happen for a while. So why would today be any different? Because the ADHD's got to surface at some point to rule out the autism.
These are things.
Yeah. But I mean, all that to say, I don't have to go first to position you as the palate cleanser for everybody who wants to go into the weekend without wanting to cry hysterically into their pillows.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. I don't mind being the palate cleanser either. That's so weird. I'm a palate cleanser.
Honestly, that would be one of those t-shirts that you would wear to the supermarket and have all of the dads move their daughters away from you.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, or they'd have a lot of questions.
I mean, okay, so I say that, and I'm wearing a shirt. Let me see if I can adjust my camera.
Yes. I love it.
Okay, so my shirt is a black shirt. It says "Nasty Woman." The shirt apparently was a Proud Parenthood fundraiser tee, and it came out right after the 45th president, while he was campaigning for his first run, referred to Hillary Clinton as a nasty woman, and Planned Parenthood printed a bunch of these t-shirts. And anyhow, I wore this shirt like last year. So this is an old shirt, right? So I wore this shirt like at the supermarket. I'm not thinking, it was just a t-shirt and jeans, right? And this dad apparently didn't remember the reference, looks at my shirt, moves his daughter to the other side of the cart, realizes I saw him do that, and then says, look, I'm sure you're a nice person, but I'm going to take my chances. And I just kind of was like, huh? Oh, you know what? I'm not even, do your thing, bruh. I'm not even gonna like, I mean, I'm a chick with long blue hair and a shirt that says nasty woman. You've got every right to not understand what the hell's happening.
Like, that's fine. Can I just tell you how much I appreciate this entire story because of what my story is today?
Well, now you're going to go first.
I have to go first now, don't I? Also, though mine's super different. I have an Indiana Jones t-shirt on.
Yeah, yours is complete opposite vibes.
Yeah, super opposite vibes. I'm hunting for treasures that belong in museums because I'm British and white.
Way to introduce my story. But anyhow, go on.
Did we really just do each other up like that?
I mean, I think kind of, yes.
I am so excited for us. So let me pull up my story then. I swear to you, I'm getting my act together.
I don't believe it. There's no need.
You know what?
I've known you for long enough. You don't need to lie to me.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you expect me to not have my act together. Would you believe me if I told you I absolutely lost the app that my story's in?
Would you believe me if I told you that I thought I had written my story down because I had all of my sources and been thinking about them so long that I had to wake up at 5 a.m. this morning and go, I should actually do my homework, huh?
I feel better then because fantastic. I was gonna save these for the end, but I think that honestly sharing them in the beginning is just so badass it has to be done.
Octopus?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. She didn't share a picture of an octopus.
Can you see these beautiful women?
Wow. Okay, so Angie is sharing a collage of pictures. They are primarily Black women in these incredible turbans from
They're
a
called
variety of time
tignons.
zones. They're called what?
Yes. Tignons.
Tignons. Okay, I just learned a new word.
Tignons, yep. And most of these women lived in the like Louisiana area. I have to show you this last one. That is the voodoo queen herself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Though my story has nothing to do with voodoo.
Dang it.
I thought it was super, super awesome that she's in this story. I mean, well, voodoo could have been involved. I don't know, but look at this. Look at this. Like, you see that lace collar on her? So the picture that I'm showing is a painting that was done by an artist called Francois Fleshbin, and it is supposedly of his free Black housekeeper. They believe her name was Betsy. However, there is some belief now that Betsy is just a like figment of our imagination, and they just created the name that we don't actually know her name. But she has this like silken linen looking tiara on and diamond drop earrings and this delicate lace ruff collar with this diamond brooch.
And by delicate, it is like so fine and see-through that it's beautiful, but it looks wispy. Itchy as all get out.
It does. Now, I'm highlighting this picture because I believe it was the 80s, this photo was restored, and the artist that did the restoration for it, they actually removed the delicate lace collar and put just like your standard like linen folded collar because they didn't believe it to be accurate. Only recently, like in the last 10 to 20 years, did they like, no, this lace collar, these diamond brooches were accurate.
All the rage.
And they were absolutely, she owned these things. So I think it's really cool that they restored it to the way that it should have been, including the fine chair she's sitting in. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the like gold painted. I think it's just absolutely magnificent. Okay, so those are my ladies. I don't remember how to stop sharing. There we go. Anyways,
that is such the claim for a neurodivergent. I don't know how to stop sharing.
We need shirts that say that.
Honestly, I would be down for that.
I don't know. Help me stop sharing.
Like if I'm in a meeting and I just can't get out of my way, just turn off my microphone.
Help me, please help me. My sources are a pvfa.tamu.ed article called Antoinette's Tignon Examines Head Wraps as Self-Expression for Black Women. A NewYorkHistory.org Settlers, Colonialism, and Revolution article.
Wait, this is all making sense because I won't even let you get through your sources before I interrupt. Where you're like, hey, this week, are you doing person, place, or thing? And I was like, is this Wheel of Fortune?
Are we guessing nouns now?
Yeah, like I'll buy an E.
Well, I was like, I had several ideas like floating around in my mind, and none of them were like, I couldn't settle on any one thing. And so I was like, okay, if she tells me she's doing a person, then I'll pick an event. Like, or if she's picking a time frame, what, you know what I mean? Like, I'll find something
I'll
that's
just
absolute
do
of that.
Okay.
Right. So, but then Ian, that like shortly after I sent you that text, Ian sent me one of these articles, and I was like, never mind, I know what I'm doing.
All right.
Tignon Law of Louisiana from royaltoursneworleans.com. Welcome to Women in Colonial Louisiana, 64 parishes, history, voodoo, and Tignon laws in Louisiana. And a couple more. Teen Vogue had a great article. And the history of women's movement fashion, feminist fashion history, feminism. Like, okay, so if you can't tell now, this entire story is about how we use fashion to stick it to the man.
Like that time we
story.
took the high heel shoes from men and now they won't wear them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you know this, but fashion and the history of fashion is one of my all-time favorite topics. Did you know that? Have I shared that with you before?
I had no idea, honestly. I mean,
yeah.
If it was, I would expect for you to show up in something a bit more dressed
Not
up, an Indiana
Jones
t-shirt. Yeah, not a
Yeah.
screen print.
Yeah, screen print Indiana Jones t-shirt. Nope, that's what I showed up in today, people.
Yeah.
And I actually thought about putting together an absolutely delightful outfit to go with this, but it occurred to me you can't see most of me, so what do you know?
I mean, for all I know, you're wearing red bottoms right now.
I'm actually sitting next to a pair. Would you like me to bring them over and show them to you?
I doubt that you really are sitting next to a pair of
Louboutins.
Oh,
hold please.
You own a pair of Louboutins? What? What?
2 pairs. Little known fun fact about Angie.
Damn. Okay, I need to up my shoe game. I've been outdone.
And I have glass Tupperware.
You know, I am tired of you showing me up. We are minutes into the podcast and I'm ready to log off and go wake and bake.
Like, forget you, Angie. We're done.
Yeah.
Can we just take a second, though, to appreciate how absolutely adorable these shoes are?
I mean, of course they are.
The other pair I have are safely tucked in their box, and they have like little lace, like leather lace frill on them. They're so cute.
Why do I have to be in sensible shoes until I can walk like a human?
Well, I didn't say I wear them every day. I wear them for like 2 or 3 hours at a time, and then I'm like, all right then. My ankles need a massage.
See, thankfully, in karate, we do things to strengthen our ankles.
Thankfully, rather unthankfully, I've taken more than one hike with my eldest son and ended up in a ditch. So, strengthening my ankles is probably something I should work on doing.
I mean, after this, I'll show you a couple really killer ankle exercises that really help me step up my heel game.
Your ankle game? Okay,
yeah.
I'm here for it. So yeah, now that you know that, fashion history is one of my very, very favorite topics. I am a clothes horse that can't get rid of things that delight me, and red bottom shoes are one of them.
Dang.
So, anyway, my story starts in 1763. At this time, the state of Louisiana is, shall we say, acquired by the Spanish, who brought ideas with them, like the idea of, I'm going to butcher this word, coercion, which is basically the ways of acknowledgement of slaves to purchase their own freedom. So, like, the Spanish at this time in 1763 have realized that perhaps holding slaves goes against human nature, and we should do something about that. So they make it so you can buy your own freedom. I'm not sure how it worked in Spain, if it was like across the board, like slavery just ended, or they were required to all buy their own freedom. I'm not sure how that worked, but they brought that idea with them. However, by this time, Louisiana has a population that is already freed Black persons, and they are settled and they are thriving. In fact, by the time of the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, when the U.S. would acquire Louisiana, the population of New Orleans alone was 20% free people of color.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, I'm imagining an area where these people are, whether they've bought their freedom, they've earned their freedom, they came here free, like whatever the case may be, they are thriving and doing incredibly well in their surroundings, in their communities. And then the Spanish come in and they're like, huh. Within this community of people in 1763, the people of color, whether the free people of color, they're not, their place in the, I don't want to say the hierarchy of things, but their place in the world is really undefined. They're not governed by slave laws, nor could they hold the same rights and privileges as their white counterparts. So they're like kind of just floating in limbo of being free, but not having the same privilege. While they do and can make, like as merchants and tradesmen, they do very well for themselves. There's a large contingent of very well off free people of color.
Mm-hmm.
So the Spanish governor would do things, he would put things in place that would stop free Black assembly and also ban the practice, and I think this is really interesting, he banned the practice of concubinage.
Oh.
And I thought that was interesting because at this time we know that like the US as a whole, but especially down in this area, there's not a lot of women to, it's like 2.5 to 1, you know, like some stupid ratio of men to women.
Yeah.
So for them to ban the practice of being able to not technically marry, but enter into a physical relationship is kind of interesting. But I think a lot of it,
they're trying to share the wealth.
Yeah, basically. And so they're banning this practice. And also one of the things that came out of those types of relationships are often freed children of color. If you're a white man having relations with a beautiful woman of color and you have children, oftentimes those children are born free. And this raised concern, I guess, with the Spanish government of how this was going to work out, as far as, because their space is so undefined. They don't have the same privileges as the whites, but they're also not governed by the laws of slavery or protected by the laws of either. So like how what are we going to do? So they're doing their best to try to figure out what we can do to stop this from happening. The governor, the Spanish governor at the time, his name is Esteban Rodriguez Murillo, because I needed to name him.
And you couldn't come up with a shorter one.
Nope. And that's probably why I needed to name him, because I read the name and I was like, sweet God, it's perfect. He carried great concern of the free Black women's beauty, implying that they were too beautiful and that far too many white men were attracted to them. You know, because as if the population wasn't already doubled in men as opposed to women. But what, right.
You know, whatever. So this reminds me, I went to a very small, very conservative Christian university where the women, it was like a 5 to 1 ratio of women to men at the university. Oh, wow. It either, maybe not that high, but it was still like ridiculously not balanced, to the point where one of the boys' dorms put a t-shirt for all of their dorm members. It showed a scale on the back with men to women, like the actual ratio. And it said where the odds are good, but the goods are odd.
I love that.
And I was just like, you jerks.
That's hilarious. 64parishes.org has this to say about the male to female ratio. And I'm just going to read it because I think it's really important for us to get a visual of what life was like back then. Quote, the responsibilities of women in colonial Louisiana varied greatly depending on their individual circumstances. Many aspects of their daily life were consistent, Only the most elite women, who constituted a very small minority, escaped hard physical labor both inside and outside the home. Although evidence exists that many participated in the retail trade of luxury goods in order to supplement their husband's income.
Okay.
Okay. Some women came to Louisiana with occupations. One ship's list names bakers, cooks, knitters, and seamstresses among the women on board. Most families did not own enslaved peoples or hold indentured servants, which meant that the responsibilities of maintaining the home and farm fell to all family members, including mothers and daughters. Even women who had servants worked alongside their laborers, planting and harvesting crops, tending livestock, spinning, sewing, weaving, cooking, doing laundry, and performing the tasks necessary to survive in a society based on subsistence agriculture. Almost all women, except the truly elite, enslaved or free, tended homes, crops, and livestock, especially if they lived in rural areas. Louisiana women truly contributed to the development of the colony. I have a thought that I'll share on this later, but I thought that giving us kind of a visual of what it was like to be a woman at this time.
Yeah.
Whether you were a freed woman of color or white, you shared the responsibility of your household. There was it didn't discriminate, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. So, all that being said, the Spanish government was basically scared that the women of color were too lovely and decided that the only way to deal with that was to require them to cover their gorgeous hair, which was, quote, considered one of their most attractive features.
Weird flex, but okay.
So stupid. They proclaimed the tignons was the perfect covering. Not only did it separate them from the looks of the white women, it was also the headwear of the slave population. This would be a visible cue to their relations to the enslaved as opposed to the free people that they were.
Now I hate this.
Right?
Because it's not, we're regulating. I hate when we regulate all women, but now we're
only regulating some.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
but from what I can
othering
tell,
the other.
Right. The women complied and they took it up a notch. In fact, I believe these ladies saw it as an opportunity and a delightful challenge. The tian was widely used according to this stupid law, but with a twist. The women would use the most expensive, colorful, gorgeous fabrics and tie them in very ornate knots while decorating them with jewels and feathers and whatever they liked. So it's super backfired. And instead of it being used as a sign of inferiority, it would become, quote, a mark of their beauty, wealth, and creativity, a subtle rebellion against colonial government that wanted to keep them down.
Hell yes.
Right? They have been a staple in American fashion since the law was passed in 1786. Oh, don't worry, though. That law went out of fashion in the early 1800s anyway, so it didn't run for very long. By the time women of both races were all over them, all the way to the White House, with Dolly Madison being a big fan.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Which takes me back to the quote I read earlier about the women of Louisiana working to achieve the goals of survival. To me, it's so hard to imagine working day in and day out next to this person to find out, like as a white lady, to find out that your friend now has to cover her hair. That's the stupidest thing imaginable.
I mean, it's the same kind of crap we see in corporate now, where you have a Black woman who's unable to wear her hair anything but straight.
Right. So for me, I see there had to be a lot of ideas being shared between the ladies and like beauty plans and creativity. I honestly see in my mind that these white ladies were looking at their friends and the women that they work with and seeing these gorgeous turban style knotted hats with these feathers and these brooches and these jewels and being like, that's amazing, I want to do it too. And I fully see the women that are creating these styles as super involved and super welcoming to the idea. Like, I don't think it was a no, you can't do it too because you're not black. Like, I think it was very much, yeah, we're all doing it, and it super backfired on the government. They're like, crap, all the women are doing it now.
Right.
What are we gonna do? Which I personally I freaking love that so much. And it's just, it makes me laugh. So there's all these glorious pictures that I shared with you earlier showing the different ways that they would wrap them, knot them, style them, what types of fabric they would use. And I loved, I don't know if you'll recall it, but the picture of the woman in the white one, she also is wearing like a bonnet. Like she has a fastener type hat on top of her tian. So they're like
Wow.
super decorative. And
Yeah.
let me just take the style of the time, add this stupid headwear that you told me I need to add, but I'm going to also wear a hat on top of it because I need my hair to be 3.5 feet tall. Like, okay, live your life, sister. But so when I was thinking about the use of fashion for statement, because these women were meant to be held down and they took it and ran the other direction with it. How many times in American history alone have women done that?
I mean, here we are being given more lemons going, okay, so I'm up to here with lemonade, but how about a good meringue? Yeah, how you guys feeling about pie?
Do you love pie? Because I love pie.
And then we're gonna do some lemon bars, and then we're gonna
I mean, we have the ladies of the suffrage movement. They would use colors to delineate their how they felt. White was representing femininity and purity. Green and purple would represent dignity and loyalty. The flappers of the 20s, like, forget these bras, we're burning them. They didn't burn them, but you know what I mean. Like,
I mean, anybody who just decides to not put that contraption on is a hero.
right. And so I'm thinking thinking about these women so long ago that were given this article of clothing that was meant to absolutely oppress them and set them aside as less than and different, saw it and went,
the hoop skirt, where they're like, I'm going to use this big, big skirt to keep men away from me. The bigger the skirt, the further they have to be.
I love this.
And honestly, I'm going to make bigger and bigger hula hoops to make sure that I don't have to talk to anybody.
And it's fashion.
Yeah, it's like, ain't I great?
So yeah, I loved it. Like, I proceeded to go through the up until our current decade of how fashion has been used to make a statement,
right?
Be it in your community, politically, against a man, whatever the case may be, what it's used for, and how interesting it is that women who are often silenced have for centuries been like, oh, well, okay, I guess I'll just wear a dress that says what I'm trying to say then.
Right.
And I am 100% here for it. So wear your nasty woman shirt.
I will, with impunity.
Knock your socks off. So there's my story.
I love it.
Oh, I do have a quote here. By this time, in my opinion, fashion was truly weaponized in the best possible way.
You're not wrong.
Those are my words. I'm so proud of myself.
Well done. Well done. Slow golf clap, everybody, and take a bow. All right, finite. So I don't think you've heard of my figure that I'm going to tell you about.
Okay.
But honestly, I don't know, because the pool of your knowledge, albeit shallow, is vast.
I have never been equally complimented and put down at the same time so delightfully before.
You're welcome.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Though it be shallow, it is vast.
And it would have not hit as hard if I'd said it the other way. You'd have been like,
that would be vast. It is shallow. No, it's much better. It's much better the way you went.
All right. So I'm going to tell you about Artemisia I of Halicarnassus.
You just made all of that up.
You would think so. My sources. a thought.com biography of Artemisia I, the warrior queen of Halicarnassus. She fought with Xerxes at the Battle of Salamis by Joan Johnson Lewis. There's an article from the Medusa Archive.
Is this the
Artemisia.
one that brought Xerxes the other guy's head?
Not that I know of. Maybe she fought for Xerxes. She did quite a bit of killing, but she was primarily water-based. Artemisia I of Caria, of Artemisia of Halicarnassus, and worldhistory.org, Artemisia I of Caria by Joshua J. Mark.
I like that you called her water-based.
I mean, she was not necessarily a land fighter.
Oh, okay. I'm an idiot. When you said water-based, I was thinking like, this is her fun way of saying this character may or may not have actually been real.
Yeah, she might have just had fins, long flowing hair, and sang and lured people to their deaths.
Is this Alexander the Great's sister?
No. And I'm joking about her being a siren.
Damn it.
Okay.
Carry on.
So Artemisia I of Halicarnassus lived from circa 520 to 460 BCE. Okay. She was the ruler of the city of Halicarnassus at the time of the Persian Wars. So it says that she is part of a Carian colony of Persia, and Halicarnassus. I'm going to say it differently every single time I say it. So that's what it is. Fought against the Greeks. The Greek historian Herodotus is also from the same area. He's born in the same city that she rules, and he records her story in the histories that he wrote in the mid 450s. So a lot of the information we get from him.
Okay.
All right. So she's born about 520 BCE in Halicarnassus in what is today Bodrum, Turkey. At the time, Halicarnassus was the capital city of the Carian satrapy, which of the Achaemenid Persian Empire in Asia Minor during the reign of Darius I. So just imagine the beautiful ruler that fights against the Spartans during the Battle of Thermopylae in 300.
Yeah.
Okay. Just that whole thing carried in your brain.
Got it.
Okay. She's named after the Greek goddess Artemis and presides. Artemis, I'm sure everybody knows, is the goddess of the wild, who is the patron deity of hunters. Artemisia is the daughter of King Legdemus of Halicarnassus and a Cretan mother whose name we don't know.
When you say Cretan, I think of Mike Wazowski. You Cretan?
Mike Wazowski.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sorry.
You're fine.
You said it. Now I can't unhear it.
I mean, honestly, when I was reading this prior to, I was like, yeah, Cretan's going to throw off me again, but I was going to try to keep going and pretend I'm an adult.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Call it out.
Pretending I'm an adult is not my strongest skill set.
What I like is we don't know her mother's name, and that's like par for the course of history. But the cool part is, upon the death of her husband, quote, whose identity is also unknown.
So he's the husband, the unknown. I love it.
The unknown king.
Love
Artemisia assumes the throne of Caria as regent for her young son, Pisildelus. We don't know much about him, or I didn't read much about him because I didn't care. He's not the focal point. While it's probable that he ruled Caria after her, there's no record to substantiate this. So really, this whole line, we really just know about her.
I love that.
Yeah. And
how many times in history do we not even know when a queen is born?
Oh, so many times.
Like, let alone the minute details of their life. And in this particular story, we know nothing about the men. I love that.
Right. It's just like, wait, what? We don't even know her husband's name. He ruled. What? Like, so I'm just
clearly she wore the pants.
Boy, did she. Boy, did she. Okay. So Artemisia, she inherits the throne from her husband when, he passes away. And this is during the rule of Persian Emperor Xerxes I, also known as Xerxes the Great. Her kingdom includes the city of Halicarnassus and the nearby islands of Kos, Kalymos, and Nistros. Anyhow, big kingdom. And she ruled Halicarnassus between 460 and 450 BC. And it's about this time that Xerxes goes to war against Greece. Artemisia is the only woman among his commanders, and she brought 5 of the 70 ships sent to battle. And those 5 were with the forces that had a reputation for being the most ferocious.
Okay.
So she's a bit of a badass, and her troops are as well. And there's the direct quote from Herodotus that I have to share.
Okay.
I pass over all the other officers of the Persians because there's no need for me to mention them, except for Artemisia, because I find it particularly remarkable that a woman should have taken part in the expedition against Greece. She took over the tyranny after her husband's death, and although she had a grown-up son and didn't have to join the expedition, her manly courage impelled her to do so. Hers was the second most famous squadron in the entire navy, after the one from Sidon. None of Xerxes' allies gave him better advice than her.
Well, I mean, it's about dang time someone takes notice to the fact that women are amazing commanders. I'm just saying.
I mean, have you seen how we can multitask, hold a job down, keep the house going, and make a damn good pot roast?
That's what I'm saying, while wearing our red bottom heels. They're sitting next to me, right next to me
I'm
now.
honestly going to need to just buy a pair and put them on a shelf and use that as impetus to get off these dang crutches.
They would go so good with that dress you bought on Etsy.
Oh,
you're welcome.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now I'm.
Just hang the dress up and the shoes below it, and you'll be set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Herodotus suggests that Xerxes selected Artemisia to lead the squadron to embarrass the Greeks. And honestly, when the Greeks hear about it, they offer a reward of 10,000 drachmas, about 3 years' wages for the average workman, just for capturing her.
Okay.
Spoiler, nobody succeeds in claiming this prize.
Well, of course they don't.
But I mean, there's literally one chick on the battlefield and nobody can seem to find her.
Because here's the thing. If you are commanding a navy, right? And you are as badass as history has written you out to be, your men are going to be so loyal to you, no one will ever find you. Like, I bet you she made mean cupcakes too.
I bet you she just was good at being mean. Truly.
Probably.
Truly. So the Persian Empire, or the Persian exposition, is Xerxes' revenge on the Greeks for the Persian defeat of the Battle of Marathon in 490. You know, the battle
Still
where,
about that. Yeah.
One Greek decides, oh crap, after a full day of fighting, I got to run home. And he runs 26 miles home.
Screams
and then goes,
Nike. And
hey,
then
y'all. And then, yeah.
And that's why we call it a marathon.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So they're a little miffed about that. And the Persians invading force...
Miffed is not the word.
I might be underreporting, okay?
I think you're underreporting. I love it. I see him all hot and bothered reading the newspaper in the morning,
Martha, I'm miffed.
It is the exact same energy as standing at the DMV.
You ever been at the DMV and deciding to start a land war?
Every single time.
All right. So picture this. Setting is the local DMV. The air conditioner's gone out. It's 11 p.m. on a Wednesday, or 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. And you're there for the next 6 hours.
I'm imagining this the Xerxes from the end of 300 in all of his regalia, like the nose piercing, the whole bit, sitting like 3 chairs in the DMV wait. Oh, it's so silly. It makes me so happy. I'm here for it. I would have burnt the DMV to the ground if I was him, but that's just me.
The screenplay writes itself at this point.
Yeah, we've done so good. Let's put in
Yeah.
the AI bot and see what happens.
Honestly, you know what? If you've enjoyed this episode, I'm joking.
If you'd enjoyed this episode, later this week, we'll have the story.
Yep.
Next week, it'll be a movie.
All right. So the Persians are a bit miffed and they assemble the largest army the world has ever seen up to this point. Even in Caria, the part of the Persian Empire at the time has been compelled to supply the troops and ships, and there'd been no reason for a sitting queen to feel the need to accompany her soldiers to the field. Artemisia's the first decision then is wholly her own, and she does whatever the hell she wants.
Get a girl. I do what I want.
So she fights in the naval battle of Artemisium, which takes place off the coast of Euboea, and it's concurrently fought during the land engagement of Thermopylae. So the Battle of 300 that you think of, yeah. And it's at that point she distinguishes herself as a commander and a tactician. And this part's amazing. It said she would fly either the Greek or the Persian flag from her ships, depending on the circumstances, to avoid conflict until she could position herself favorably to either assault or escape.
Get it, girl.
Like, she just, you know what? It's just a piece of fabric. I'm going to run it up. And now I'm going to
10 minutes.
Yep. So, I mean, that part, just chef's kiss. So after winning the battle at Thermopylae in August of 480 BCE, Xerxes sent Myrdanus to talk to each of his naval commanders separately about the upcoming battle at Salamis. Artemisia is the only one who advised against a sea battle, suggesting that Xerxes instead wait offshore to what she saw as the inevitable retreat or attack of the Peloponnese on shore. She's quite blunt about their chances against the Greek armada, saying that the rest of the Persian naval commanders are Egyptians, Cypriots, Sicilians, and Pamphylians. That's a made-up word, I feel like, but probably not. How I pronounced it was made up entirely. Sure.
Yeah, okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
They're not up to the challenge, she says. And while he's entirely pleased that she's going to provide a separate viewpoint than the rest of his generals, he ignores her advice and chooses to follow the majority opinion. And it's during the battle that, even though she's like, hey, y'all, this is dumb. The rest of these guys can't do this. These guys around me, group of cowards, they're not battle born like we are. They don't know what the hell they're doing. She still fights. He's like,
somebody's
okay,
got to pay their DMV registration, you know?
Right. So she still joins the fight. And it's at that point she finds her flagship being chased by an Athenian vessel, and she's got no chance to escape. Now, mind you, she's got a 10,000 drachma bounty on her head. It's at this point she notices that the ship near her is an ally ship being commanded by a king that may or may not be on the best of terms with her, even though they are allies. She rams the friendly vessel that's commanded by the Chalcidians and their king, Damastheos. Their ship sinks, including all of the soldiers on board.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
The Athenian vessel is so confused by her actions that they assume she's either a Greek ship or a deserter, and they leave Artemisia's ship to chase others.
All right.
The Greek commander realized who he was chasing and recalled the price on her head. He would have not changed his course.
You would think.
No one from the Calindian ship survived, and Xerxes is so impressed with her nerve that he says, my men have become women and my women men.
Little does he know we've been badass to begin with.
Right? Okay, but damn, because one source said that the ship she took out was a a political challenger to her. And so she made the best out of that situation. She's like, look, one of us is going down.
It's
One,
not
two,
going to be
three,
me.
not it. Goodbye.
And now I have his land too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So after the failure of Salamis, Xerxes abandons his invasion of Greece, and Artemisia is credited in persuading him to make this decision. As a reward, Xerxes sends her to Ephesus to take care of his illegitimate sons.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess if you view her as more manly than the rest of the men in your entire fleet, that's exactly who you'd send to raise your sons.
Right. Obviously, we need a complete badass to manage this and to make sure that they stay safe. So
Yeah.
the end of Artemisia's career sees Xerxes sending her off to Ephesus. And even though she's a Greek, Artemisia saw the greater gain in Xerxes' open-mindedness regarding women's ability to fight and lead in battle, that she's just renowned and recorded in history as becoming the great advisor. Artemisia saw a great accomplishment in her ability to navigate through the allowances that the Persian Empire gave women. And I'm like, yeah, honestly, she did really do a great job in navigating that.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is that this is basically, for the most part, most of all we know about Artemisia. And a majority of that comes from Herodotus himself. So all of the other references that we have of Artemisia include the 5th century Greek physician Philosopher, who spoke of her as a cowardly pirate. So basically, he's writing like 500 years afterward, and he's like, yeah, she's a pirate. The Greek playwright Aristophanes.
We love pirates.
I mean, honestly, I'm not opposed. Aristophanes uses her as a symbol of the strong and uppity warrior women in his comedic play Lysistrata. And she's also harkened back to in the Mophla equating her with the Amazons.
Well, I mean,
any woman who's willing to cut off her own breast to be a better warrior should be feared. Should be feared.
Yeah.
Later writers, go ahead.
Do you know that? I don't want to tell you my fact because I don't want to give up one of my next stories. Never mind. I'll harken back to this episode then. Never mind. Delete me.
I kind of hate you a little bit right now.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, tease. So later writers are generally approving of her, including we have Polyaenes, the 2nd century Macedonian author of the Stratagems of War, and Justin, the 2nd century Roman Empire historian. Fotis, the fallen. So, Fotis, the economical patriarch of Constantinople, describes the legend of Artemisia as having fallen hopelessly in love with the younger man from Abydos, jumping off a cliff to cure the unrequited passion. I mean, and this doesn't jive because while that death sounds glamorous and romantic,
dude,
I just
sister
don't
died
see
happy
it.
old in her bed. Like,
right?
She did not jump off a cliff because some guy did not return the favor.
And it's great you think that, because archaeological evidence kind of shows that that's probably not the case, because it shows that there's evidence of Artemisia's relationship with Xerxes in the ruins of the mausoleum at Halicarnassus. So, of course, there's a British archaeologist involved here, which is why earlier I was just like, look at that. Charles Thompson Newton, when he evacuated the mausoleum, or excavated.
I like evacuated.
Yeah. Come on out, spirits.
That's exactly what I saw. To the left, to the left.
No. Enter this haunted jar. We're taking you back to the museum.
I need that to be a movie too, where he's like extra polite.
No, please and thank you. Oh, yep. Yes. I'm so grateful you picked up the Queen's English in this time. Fantastic.
Yes, that is exactly what I need to have happen.
Okay, so anyhow, he excavates the mausoleum in 1857. The mausoleum itself is built by Artemisia II to honor her husband Malosus between 353 to 350.
So is Artemisi's the second, Artemisi's the first daughter?
I don't think so, right? But she's further down the line, but she does get her name probably from that namesake. And a lot of Artemisia's the second's exploits are credited to Artemisia the first. Like they have very similar personalities. And so when you hear of this crazy story that Artemisia is involved in, you kind of conflate the two.
Okay.
But anyhow, in the mausoleum, they find a what kind of jar is it? What kind of jar? It's made of something special. Where is it? Where's that word? Calcitite? No, it's like, where is it? I want to say it's calcitite, but I can't find that word now. You know what? Honestly, this article calls it an alabaster jar, but it's inscribed with the signature of Xerxes the First. And since this jar is, like has the royal symbol, the fact that it was in Artemisia II's tomb, it shows that the presence of this shows it was likely passed down from descendant to descendant, and then one of them had it buried with them.
Okay.
So, I mean, that part is absolutely fantastic to realize that she was held in such high regard.
Now I'm seeing Xerxes as a proud papa.
With a general nursemaid?
Yeah. Yeah. At the DMV.
Way to bring it all the way back to the DMV. I forgot that we were setting the stage there.
Sorry, your naval battle took place in the DMV parking lot.
The floor is lava. Everybody stay in your vehicles. Which means that rival ship was really just ran over by her Ford F-150.
Yeah. And it was the soccer mom next door that's a real pain in the ass, super gossip.
Mm-hmm. Oh, can't stand her. Honestly, somebody had to take her out, because if she tells the HOA one more complaint, I swear to Wally, I am going to cut down her boxwood bushes.
I literally was going to say, if she complains to the HOA again,
I'm done.
I love being on the same brain train with you. It's my favorite.
Same. One of the crazy things, and I feel bad that I didn't take 2 weeks to do her and really study her or keep up with pop culture when Kiddo was a toddler, because while I love the movie 300, I missed 300 Rise of the Empire.
Okay, yeah.
And apparently, Rise of the Empire features the story of Artemisia.
And she brings Xerxes the heads.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a really it's like the one scene in the movie that stuck with me.
Okay. Well, I mean, so it shows that I should just, go ahead and watch it, but I will show you the images I could find of Artemisia. So there's this incredible coin that harkens from the Romans. So they
look at her wearing a head covering as always.
Right? Yep. And then we've got the picture of her played by Eva Green in 300 Rise of the Empire.
Eva Green slayed that role. She was so good.
I mean, honestly, it makes me feel so excited, and I wish I would have seen it.
Yeah, now you have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, and now you know the full story, that she was just an incredible badass.
I love that my pictures are still showing. I thought I minimized them.
I am not watching your pictures. I can't see. I haven't seen them in a long time. So
when you shared your screen, my screen came up, and I thought I closed my screens to make things more streamlined.
Oh no, you did not. But they didn't disrupt me. I was didn't bother me at all. Zero ruffles in my feathers.
Perfect. No feathers ruffled. Oh my gosh. I love knowing that she was a real person. I thought because I know the story of the Battle of Thermopylae pretty well, but I didn't, and I know Xerxes is Xerxes and Emperor Darius and all that, but I did not realize that she was an actual Real person.
And honestly, I'm glad I knew that before watching, because I feel like if I would have watched the movie and seen that, I'd have gone, they threw a chicken just to make me happy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like when I was watching it, like, okay, I love her, but that's kind of, you just made that
You're just
up.
pandering.
Like, you could have put Hugh Jackman in a man's role. That would have been fine too.
I like how we are so pessimistic.
We don't believe it. I don't believe this woman existed.
Like, I would need, it would need to be like a soap opera. As soon as she appears, it'd be like, and the part of Artemisia is a real person, real person,
Like
played by Eva
neon
Green.
sign. Yes.
Factually based. Little asterisk.
Mm-hmm. See, those little notes need to be in film. Just saying.
Yeah, because then it would give like all the kids going, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, who?
How do you spell that?
Okay, back up again. One more time.
Yep. Can you pause?
Yeah. Parents, turn the captions on, because I'm going to need to see how the screenwriters put this in the script.
Oh my god. You know the amount of movies I'd go back and watch just to check?
To be like, oh my gosh, real? Because the times I'm watching a show or a movie and I pull up my phone and be like, did they exist? Because I actually found her because I was watching a show somewhere about pirates. I don't even remember what it was on. Maybe Stars. Anyhow, I was watching a show about pirates, and they had this very strong female character, in Nassau, the fun pirate colony. And I'm like, did she really exist? And it showed that she was a fictional character. And then it was like, top female pirates you've never heard about. And I was like, I doubt it.
Yeah, right. Granio O'Malley taking #1.
Right. Like, and all of a sudden it was just like Artemisia the First. And I was like, I'm sorry, who? We had pirates back in BC's? Like, and not
like
the
this.
Chinese female who was incredible.
Oh,
Can't remember
she's
her name,
amazing.
but
I was just gonna say I can't remember her name.
1,100 people underneath her, and she ends up being paid to retire by the Chinese government.
Wasn't it 1,100 ships, 1,800 men, and the Chinese government was finally like, please just go away.
For the love of anything, we'll
Like, we'll
pay
give you
your
whatever
retirement.
you want. Just stop it.
You know what? I think your numbers are right.
I love her story. Dang it, what is her name? Well, long story short,
I think I
that's a
know her
topic we don't
name,
have
but
to
I
cover.
won't say it out loud because I know I'd be pronouncing it wrong. So even though I think I know the written word, it's still going to be wrong no matter how I say it. And I haven't practiced saying it, so I'm just going to that one.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I bend the knee for that pirate queen for sure. You can have my ships, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, look, I can't bend my knee well, but what I can bend,
I'm gonna try.
better chance of me being able to bend that knee than being able to put on those red shoes.
What if you could be a pirate queen in the red shoes?
Then all the ankle exercise in the world wouldn't help me.
They make red bottoms. They make red bottom combat boots.
What is the point
for the red bottoms? I asked Ian the same thing because we were looking at them one day, and I was like, "Those are silly. I love them. Why?" With it, like
capitalism. That's why.
Yeah, pretty much. There's spikes on them. They're amazing. They scream London like 1989.
Like the punk scene is just heating up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. The number of topics we've covered in this hour.
I mean, and we've gone all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Our stories are a circle.
No,
honestly, like Mike was talking to somebody and he goes, having a conversation with my wife is dizzying because she will start talking about one thing and it'll connect to something and it'll connect to something else and it'll connect to something else. And just when I think she's off on this really bizarre tangent, she brings it all the way back. And I don't know how she got back there, but we're back at the beginning.
She did. And it all made sense to her.
And strangely, I was able to follow, but I didn't see the transitions coming.
Yep. Gotta love it. Husbands are special. They're a special breed of man, that's for sure.
I mean, honestly, the fact that I've kept this one around long enough,
I like to remind mine that he chose me, so he doesn't really have a choice.
See, and I just remind mine on how hard it was to get him to this point. Like, and he's a good guy. Like, I'm not going through it again.
Yeah,
If
no.
he wanders in front of a bus, like I'm not trying out for part two. Like he's a good one. And this was a ton of work. I don't want to try on a lesser individual.
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I like the one I got. I'm not trying to do updates. I don't want to restart.
No.
You know,
Like,
we know Control Alt Delete works. We reset the tabs. We're good.
I mean, there are occasions where I wish I could just task manager
Yeah,
force close some of his programming, but
we can't. But they're keepers, you know? Yeah. I filled in the hole in the backyard.
I was about to say you wistfully said that and looked out the hole, and I was like, did you put his body in there? Is that why you wanted to start an hour later than I thought we were?
No, he's out doing that. He's at rehearsal.
If you've enjoyed this episode of Unhinged History, then rate, review, subscribe, compulsively share it with your friend, and send us a message at unhinged.historypod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And on that note, goodbye.
Bye. Made it.